Meeting will come to order now, please. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for the invocation to be given by Sherry Mead of Pray Lowell.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Kamala Lamons.
Here.
Jerry Foley.
Here.
Eric Shine.
Here.
Darren Brock.
Here.
Keith Williams.
Here.
Carol Harmon.
Here.
Marty Latham.
Here.
Paula Allred.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Next item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have two items, the Lowell City Council minutes from the regular meeting September the 4th and the financial statement for August 2007. Any comments?
I have some questions.
Okay.
In going over this financial statement, I contacted Mary, and she kind of filled me in a little bit. But I had a question. Let me find it here. When it comes to the professional services, the amount of money's paid out there, she explained to me that most of those were Tom's salaries. Is that correct, Tom?
I don't think most of them are Tom's salary.
Okay.
I don't have the details with me.
Okay. Well, then I have some questions for Mr. Kicklack, if he doesn't mind.
No, please.
With all due respects, Mr. Kicklack, I have a few questions, and I would like...
I find that whenever someone says all due respect, usually
Yeah.
something disrespectful is about to follow.
Here it comes. Here it
That's
comes.
like, I don't mean any offense, but
Yeah.
I don't want to take up a lot of time, but I do want
Yes,
these
ma'am.
questions answered, and the council give me time and you time to answer them.
yes, ma'am.
The first question is, would you please explain to the council and to those present the due process in which you were hired to be our acting attorney?
I think I was interviewed. Trying to think back. Interviewed by the council at least once, maybe twice. I'm not sure if that second interview, I know when they interviewed me the first time, someone called. I'm not quite sure who. May have been Mayor Biggers. It may have been Steve Lyle. I'm not sure. And said, submit an RFQ and not an RFQ. Submit your qualifications and statement of qualifications, SOQ, and then they'll have an interview. And I was contacted, and there was an interview. I want to say in this room. I think in an executive session, I believe. And I'm not sure exactly what happened then, but I think another attorney was hired for a time. And then after that attorney resigned, I'm not sure if I went through that process again or not. That's my memory, my recollection.
How long have you been city attorney?
I've been, let's see, they hired the firm in maybe 04, maybe 04. I'm honestly not sure, Carol.
Okay. Is there a contract, or has there ever been a contract?
No, there's not a contract. There's an engagement letter that I think, I'm not sure if the mayor signed it or probably the mayor signed it. Goes way back when. And I think y'all have an ordinance with regard to staff attorney, I think. Something along that line. I think we have an ordinance like that.
And then for you to be our acting as city attorney for this administration, how did you become this office?
Well, I won't say I formally submitted a resignation. I kind of said to the mayor, you and I know that I serve at your will and the will of the council. So if you'd like me to work, any further, just let me know. And he let me know that in, I think, January, early January, I think.
Or December, I can't remember.
I know you contacted me in December, but you had some other questions about it. And then I think I just kept coming to council. And I remember I came to that first meeting, that meeting of the whole. And I think that's about it. That's all I can recollect.
The engagement letter, how does it read?
Oh, whenever a client hires my firm, there's a letter that pretty much sets out the rates and the lawyers, who they are, and then the terms of, I'll represent you and the firm will represent you and what you can expect of us, et cetera. I don't have them with me.
Does it
It's usually about a 2-page letter.
Does it in that letter have any amount of money, what the money is involved in this?
How do you mean? I'm sorry.
Per hour, per case,
Yes,
per court?
hourly rates are in there.
Can we
In
get,
fact, I remember the hourly rates in the firm went up, and Mayor Biggers called and said, I don't want to pay the higher hourly rate. I want to keep paying the rate I've been paying. And so I said that was fine. I did that. I kept billing them at that lower rate.
can we get a copy of that letter?
Sure.
Okay. Can you have it by next council meeting? Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, I think the city has a copy somewhere. Mary may have a copy, or the mayor may have a copy somewhere. I mean, Phil Biggers had a copy at one time.
Well, if it's nowhere to be found, can you come up with one?
Sure. I can get you an engagement letter, no problem at all.
Okay. Thank you, Tom.
Sure.
That's my questions.
I should be clear about one thing. Your city attorney position, the position of city attorney, there's an elected position provided in state law. If I would consider that position vacant right now. I can't run for and be elected as the Lowell City Attorney because I don't live in Lowell. And y'all have a staff attorney position, and of course you can hire professional services of any kind of professional listed in the statute, and maybe even others. So, but I would say that your actual city attorney position is vacant, and in places where I'm called city attorney, or someone asks me a question, or the press may call and say, you need to ask a question of the city attorney and such. I may or may not correct them, but in things like a bond ordinance, that's the last time I remember correcting it. I make sure and try to correct those where they say the city attorney, just in case somewhere down the line there's some statutory requirement in later law. There doesn't exist any right now, that a city attorney would have to sign something. A lot of cities, of course, don't have city attorneys. In fact, the vast majority don't have city attorneys.
Well, if you're not our city attorney, then what are you?
Right now, my law firm is your legal counsel,
Okay.
and I certainly act as, in this meeting, your city attorney. I do all the things a city attorney might be called upon to do, although there's no statutory requirement that the city attorney attend meetings or the city attorney sign things or review things. There is the city attorney, I think, statute says something about they have to defend the city. And then there are statutes about prosecution, but that can be hired out also. So a city can hire out all of its legal work. Some cities do both. Bentonville has an elected city attorney, George Spence, a terrific lawyer, and they also have an office of the staff attorney, which right now I think has one lawyer, but sometimes has two or more. And they have that, depending on the administration or the needs of the city, that city attorney often does little or no work, or might do some civil work, and that office of staff attorney would do different work. Sometimes they hire out the prosecution, sometimes they do it themselves. So all different cities do it different ways.
Well, with saying all of that, are you saying that we need to actually hire you, or have we hired your firm?
I think you've hired my firm.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how my firm would consider it.
Is this on the agenda tonight, discussing this? I'm kind of confused.
I'm sorry, I went along a little longer. I apologize.
Well, I didn't. Are we voting on something tonight as far as okay?
No.
There's questions about the financial statement.
Okay, I didn't see anywhere.
And I stated, no, it's not on there. I stated that whenever
Okay.
I started.
I was just kind of wondered. We didn't really talk about finances on that, so.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Waiting on you. Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Kamala Lamons,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Darren Brock.
Yes. Public forum, Guy Shoemaker.
I don't need a name yet. I can talk loud. That's old military drill sergeant. Got two things I want to discuss tonight, Mayor. Number one, I want to thank the police for going over to Rogers with the school, Tucker School. Doing nothing else, but they just sat there. They made traffic over there so easy because they see the police. Before, God forbid, those parents are, get out of my way, Charlie, I'm coming to you. Sometimes they were parked 3 deep in the parking lot. Number two, I apologize, I believe I told you one day, I'm going to call the police about speeders in where I live. I'm handicapped, very seriously. I called the police and asked them to put extra patrols on Center Drive. I did it in case you people get caught over there. In front of my house is a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, and you better do it. Now tonight, a vehicle went by my house, TEH 133, and I swear to God, it was doing at least 35. That was heading south. A little while later, another car came by. I couldn't get his license number. All I got was the last three, 633. Now I'll give you an idea. I had one to the bathroom. My boys was out driving their Jeep. And believe it or not, before I got back out, by the time I got back outside, they were halfway down to Prairie Long's house, driving theirs little Jeep. I'm scared to let my children, my grandkids, run around the house in their Jeep. Because what the kids are going to do, they're going to head for that road. And I'd like to ask the police to continue their surveillance on Center Drive, Mayor. Because to me, it's very hazardous.
I'll make a note, Guy. Committee report. Oh, anyone else wish to speak during the public forum? Next item is agenda report, parks, recreation, and special events.
We met on Monday and discussed the finalizing of the grant, getting that signed and returned to the state. And also we discussed how to handle possibly the rental of the baseball fields and of the pavilions. And we suggested several ideas, and we're going to meet again. We haven't set an exact meeting date, but I know that we'd gotten an update, at least as far as on the grant, and that's being sent back for finalization with the state.
Thank you, Paula. Streets and sidewalks. Utilities.
I'm waiting on confirmation from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, the Rural Development Agency, as to whether there will be funding for South Zion and Sabre Heights and Daisy Circle problems.
Ordinance Committee.
We didn't meet.
Personnel Committee didn't meet. Finance Committee. We think they met. New business.
Mr. Mayor, we have a matter of unfinished business that needs to be addressed.
I don't have it on mine.
It just came up. This is a matter that needs clarification from the city attorney or our legal counsel here. Arkansas State Code, Section 1443-504, says that in the event of a veto by the mayor before the next regular meeting of the council, the mayor shall file in the office of the city clerk to be laid before that meeting a written statement of his reasons for so doing, the matter of the veto. No such written document has been presented to the office of the city clerk, and that is something that I would present to the council tonight in the event I had received the documents for a veto from the mayor. And so I need a ruling from our legal counsel as to whether this was sufficient.
Mr. Mayor, this isn't on the agenda. Do we need to?
No, it's not on the agenda.
Do we need to amend the agenda to even entertain this?
It's a matter of unfinished business that was brought before the council last time that's not been resolved.
But it's still not on the agenda. Do we need to amend the agenda?
I think so. Tom, do you have something to say?
I just, it was brought before the council in the last council meeting?
Mm-hmm.
I sent an email to each council member and the city clerk notifying them that I was vetoing the ordinance. I considered that, or ordinance or request or whatever it was, I considered that sufficient notice that everybody could understand.
But it does not comply with the Arkansas State Code, so that's why I wanted clarification from the city attorney as to whether it's sufficient, because I have to put something in the record book, and I have nothing in writing lodged with the office of the city clerk that's sufficient for the record book that I must keep.
Well, I'll grab it real quick here. Not sure. There was, I remember getting an email about a veto. Did y'all get that, council members? Did you get one, Jeanette?
I have a copy of it, Tom. Do you want to see it?
There was an email from Melanie.
I don't have it, but yeah, I did.
There was an email from Melanie.
Okay. Right, and that, I don't remember what it said. I just remember it was a
Do you want to
I remember
see-
I talked to a reporter at some length about it.
Tom, do you want to see the email?
If I recall, the statute. I don't have to do that. I can get up and get that. Thank you. You don't have to do that. I appreciate that. Let's see. This statute was written. I'll get there real quick. Did you say 504?
Yeah.
42, 504?
43, 504.
43, 504?
I just have to have something for my records, and I don't know if this is considered proper or not.
I think this would suffice. This was certainly written before email was created, I think.
This email plainly says, to council members and city clerk from Mayor Perry Long.
But the question is it a sufficient written statement lodged with the office of the city clerk? I'm told that it is not, but I needed a ruling from Tom, so I know whether it's...
I don't think there's anything that, my opinion doesn't make the only way to get a ruling would be to, from a circuit judge. I mean, in other words, I have no judicial power, you know. I don't think your city judge would be the right forum, although you could try there, but I think if you need an actual ruling as to whether that complies with the requirements of that law, 144504, I think you have to go to a circuit judge. What I think probably the cleanest thing to do is go ahead and, if the council members have received it, you could say that is laid before the council. That makes sense. Before the next regular meeting, if in fact it was received by them before the meeting. And then it's a written statement. I think it certainly counts for that. I guess it's only whether it's filed in the office of the city clerk, just kind of what that means. It's not the state law doesn't actually provide a mechanism like a circuit judge has a circuit clerk has a time stamp for filing, and they have rules for receiving. I don't know what rules we have. I don't know that we have any rules, but you can consider it received. I think you said you received it, Jeanette?
I received the email.
You received the email. So what you could do is you amend the agenda, place the veto on the agenda, see if the veto is overridden. And if it is, and someone wanted to say, well, if it is overridden, then it's not an issue, right? If it's not overridden and someone wanted to say it wasn't a valid veto, they could take that up with the circuit court, I guess.
Well, I just wanted to point out that I'm just asking for the proper procedure for my minute book.
I mean, that sort of makes sense to me. I mean, I think you probably could have taken it, printed the email, if you like, put it in your minute book and put it on the agenda. That would have been one possibility, certainly. Since you knew it was there, I think you could have done that. Certainly could have taken it, just printed it and said, all right, I've got one. And you could, I don't see it on the agenda here, but you could amend the agenda, ask for the mayor would say, do I hear a motion on the veto? A proper motion would be a motion to override, which would require a 2/3 vote of the council.
The reason it's not on the agenda is because it wasn't a point until.
Yes, Guy.
What are you people talking about?
Oh, right.
You know, we're sitting out here like a bunch of dummies. It'd be nice if we knew what was going on.
It's very clearly written in this newspaper.
Don't you take the newspaper?
Is it reference that article in the newspaper?
Yes.
I support it here.
So I guess the circuit court would have before it, Jeanette, the issues of whether an email correspondence is a writing, written before and the delivery to the council, is it laid before? Does that mean laid before the council? And I guess it's laid before at this meeting, so I guess we could use the one that Carol's kind enough to provide. Or they may not need to. They can all come and look at it, I guess. And then since they've received it, then you could see if you've heard a motion to override. And then you take a vote. And you could certainly amend the agenda to do that, or you could just, now that we've talked about it for so long, you could just do it.
Hey Tom, we've done this before. We've had vetoes before, and I don't think it was ever on the agenda. Okay. I think we just received an email notice, and I think it actually was brought up in the city council. I think we actually amended the agenda to consider it, and we did not have 2/3 to override it.
Okay. You could certainly do that.
It was not on the agenda.
But there was a writing flat before.
It was an email. It was just an email, just like what we received. Yeah.
In the minute book, there are actual written statements.
But I mean,
I do think that as far as the writing, Jeanette, without knowing what a circuit judge would say, you could certainly print the email and use that. I think that is, since it would be it is an exact replica. It's a copy of what the mayor sent to the clerk and to the council. So I think you could print that and use that if you wanted to. So I guess the next thing would be, would there be a motion to amend the agenda to consider the veto?
Do you or do you want to amend the agenda? New business.
Excuse me, I have a question.
Yes.
Could you explain, Tom, could you read the email, please? And then, Perry, explain to me, did you veto her appointment, or did you veto the expenses, or did you veto both?
I believe he vetoed the ordinance.
The question was directed to the mayor.
Just saying.
Point of order.
I mean, we're way out of order on all of this, but
The first question was, Tom, would you read the email?
I'm happy to. I'm going to skip the froms and twos. Is that all right? It reflects it. Let's assume it reflects the council and Jeanette at least. It's copied to me also. It's sent on September 5th, looks like. To council members and city clerk from Mayor Perry Long at last night's council meeting, September 4th, 2007. The council approved Jeanette Lasser's appointment to the Municipal Advisory Council for Public Safety and to attend the 1 to 2 hour meeting on September 27th, 2007 in Little Rock. As mayor, I hereby veto the council vote for the following reasons. The purpose of this advisory council is to discuss the issues pertaining to public safety and to advise the league staff and executive committee as to types of services and policies they would like for the league to pursue. In my view, the purpose of this advisory council is more in line with street, fire, and police functions, not that of city clerk. And that's all it says.
Question number 2. I vetoed the request for the expense to go to it because the city clerk is the only person in the city of Lowell that's over their budget.
That's the only portion you vetoed?
Yes.
So then, therefore, she can still maintain.
She can maintain her volunteer position like other council members have in the past and pay and go at their own expense like other council members have had. These are voluntary positions. They're not appointments. They're
Okay.
not city functions.
Thank you.
New business. An ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory to the city of Lowell, Arkansas, and making same a part of the city of Lowell and assigning same to wards. Michael?
Good evening. I've got copies of the map.
Well, you couldn't just tell by the land description. Oh, it's the northeast quadrant.
And just as a point of information, when you go before the judge, Judge Black, this is the kind of map he likes. Found that out the hard way. Anyway, you can see where that's highlighted. This is on McClure, right before you get to O'Wire. And we had a public hearing up at the county judge's office. There were no objections. This was posted in the paper. There were no problems.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move that we place this ordinance on third final reading, read it by title only, suspend all rules.
I'll second that.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the request to put on third and final reading.
I think we just did that.
Yeah, I second it.
Title again.
Second.
An ordinance accepting,
We got to vote first.
okay. Roll call.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Paula Allred.
Yes.
Jerry Foley.
Yes.
Eric Shine.
Yes.
Pamela Lamons.
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Carol Harmon.
Yes.
An ordinance accepting the annexation of certain territory to the city of Lowell, Arkansas, and making same a part of the city of Lowell and assigning same to wards. Any question?
Michael, who did this property belong to?
It belongs to or you mean what entity or the actual property owner?
The property owner.
It's the Huckabees.
Is that Lois May?
No, I think it's Wayne Huckabee
Okay.
and his brother. It's 2 parcels.
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
I'd like to make a motion to pass this ordinance.
Second.
Any comments from the audience? Roll call.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Pamela Lamons.
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
This will be ordinance number 809.
Next item on the agenda is an ordinance to amend the height restrictions and size allowed of certain signs in a specific area of the city of Lowell.
This is similar to the sign ordinance that we brought. I guess it's been a couple of months now. We did shorten it back to where South Dixieland ends and goes across to Goode Springs. We did that mostly because we couldn't find landmarks where we could put it in without doing a survey. And to be honest, the reason we were doing this was for businesses that were right up on the northern part along the highway. So,
Any questions? I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules, place on third and final reading by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Pamela Lamons,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Paula Allred.
Yes.
An ordinance to amend the height restrictions and size allowed of certain signs in a specific area of the city of Lowell. Go ahead, Michael.
oh, never mind, I'm sorry.
Any questions from the council?
I move we approve the ordinance.
I second.
Roll call, please.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Pamela Lamons.
Yes.
This will be ordinance number 810.
Mr. Mayor, if I may can just take a half minute, and I realize this is out of order, but I did want to make an announcement to the council real quickly. Fast Lane Entertainment is going to be having the groundbreaking tomorrow at 11 o'clock, and he gave me a stack of invitations, and I realized I only grabbed 7. I meant to grab 9, but everybody's invited, and I'll just pass these along, and whoever doesn't get one, just get with me, and I can help get you there. So you're all invited, and we'd love to see you out there tomorrow. So it's pretty exciting. This is a 45,000 square foot entertainment complex that we're getting. So I'll just pass it around.
Thank you, Michael. Next item on the agenda is an ordinance providing for the establishment of a flood damage prevention program, adopting a flood damage prevention code by reference for the city of Lowell and for other purposes, and declaring an emergency. Tony?
Is there any questions about this ordinance? This basically updates our existing ordinance that's in place. FEMA wrote us a letter and basically stated we had until the 28th of this month to pass the new floodplain ordinance. And the main difference between this and our current floodplain ordinance is that buildings have to be, that are in the floodplain, have to be built, their base floor elevation has to be 2 feet above the base flood. Currently, it's 1 foot above base flood. So FEMA wrote us a letter and said you have until 28th to adopt this ordinance, which was written by FEMA. They emailed it to us and said, here you go, do this or you will no longer be eligible to participate in the flood insurance program. So that's where we're at.
Say the footage again.
2 foot above base flood elevation. Basically, it's if you're in a
It was 1
floodplain.
foot.
Currently, yes. Now, this is not retroactive. It's not like we're going to go to existing building and say you're 1 foot below BFE. This is for all new construction.
Any questions?
Do you have map, Tony?
Yes.
Did you bring copies?
Those are big 36 by 24s. No, I got one. If you want to view the maps, you can view the maps. But no, I did
Okay.
not print off all those copies.
Mr. Shoemaker had a question.
How does this tie in with Corps of Engineers requirements?
It doesn't. The Corps of Engineers is a different entity altogether.
I know it's a different entity, right?
It doesn't tie in at all.
But Corps of Engineers has a map of where the flood zones are at.
Well, the Corps of Engineers have FEMA maps. That's what we're adopting.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion to suspend the rules, place on third and final reading by title only.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Kamala Lamons,
Yes.
Jerry Foley.
Yes.
An ordinance providing for the establishment of a flood damage prevention program, adopting a flood damage prevention code by reference for City of Lowell and for other purposes, and declaring an emergency. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Keith Williams,
Yes.
Kamala Lamons,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
This will be ordinance number 811.
I'd like to move we pass the emergency clause for the reasons stated in the ordinance.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Eric Shine,
Yes.
Kamala Lamons,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Carol Harmon,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Next item, renew the lease on City Hall premises. Yes. John?
Reading the Sunday paper, and the city of Rogers had made it in the listings of things they have to list in the paper. Was the 3 pages of this ordinance. Is that not necessary for us to? It will be. Okay.
Yes. John?
But I want to be clear about something. This ordinance just adopted a technical code. Typically, we adopt a technical code by ordinance, try to keep that ordinance to 1 page or less. This ordinance, and I went through this with Jeanette and I talked about this, and it's Mary, I think Tony or Sean. This is a much longer adoption ordinance, but this is not the code itself. The ordinance that's going to get published in the paper adopts the code, and this particular one describes a lot about it, but the code itself is in Jeanette's office, City Hall.
Why did they had every bloody word about it in there?
You know what? When the federal government tells you to do it this way, and they want a copy of the ordinance you passed sent back to them,
You
think it's probably best not to monkey with it.
Okay.
But we did consider that. Yeah, we did get it down a little bit.
Next item on the agenda is renew the lease on City Hall premises. I think our current lease has an automatic 4% renewal. This new lease, Mary, do you have that with you, the lease? Don't, okay. The new lease amounts to, our rent will go up to $102,000 a year on the City Hall. I don't know. Does this need approval? It's in the contract. I think it's just a matter of information.
The lease is what you want. What you want to do is budget that lease.
Oh, yeah.
If the money's in the budget, then it's good to let y'all know, because you're spending that money, that we're about to spend it. But Mayor, you would sign that lease.
Yeah.
There wouldn't have to be a formal vote on it.
No.
But you certainly could. You could say, without objection, I'm going to go ahead and execute, and that would be fine. But you wouldn't have to.
When does the lease renew? When does the lease renew?
This month. I would like to entertain a motion from the council to accept the new lease with the 4% increase.
I have a question first.
Yes.
Have we looked for anywhere else?
No, we have not. We're in the process of trying to build a city hall.
How's that coming?
On a scale of 1 to 10, I can't answer that question.
Ask God.
Maybe 2. There's a lot of problems in this that have to be addressed, and we hope to get to the bottom of it in the future. I don't know whether, Sean, have you heard anything recently? I think we're still...
For a new building?
For a proposal.
For a new building.
For the council. The ultimate goal is to have a new city hall ready to move into before this lease is up for this year, at no increase in cost to the city. That's the goal. I think right now we're down to counting how many screws to put in the steel studs.
Okay, are we going to use the cost of $102,000 less the 4% for next year's payment on the new building, or what will that payment be?
Well, that's what we're trying to work out. We took the $8,300 that we're paying right now, and we estimated the utilities at $1,300 a month, because our landlord doesn't know what they are, because I asked him. So we've estimated them at $1,300, so we're using $7,000 a month right now. Now, we don't know that that's going to work, but that's what we're shooting for.
Okay.
And the goal is to have a new city hall. When this lease expires, we move in the next day. If we don't sign this lease for a year with 4%, he said he is willing to lease it to us by the month with a 10% increase. So we calculated it out. It's best to agree to the 4% and stage it, if we can build it, to where there's no overlap. This is quite a task when you're dealing with the contractor, trying to get all of this done. But that's our ultimate goal. Whether we will make it or not, I can't answer that question at this time.
Mr. Mayor?
Sorry. Yes, Keith.
I know a couple of years ago we were looking at doing the same thing, and I think the biggest challenge was trying to make the lease payment, and once you start construction, you start paying back that loan right away, I believe. And the biggest expense we were looking at is making both the lease payment and paying for the new building at the same time. And you have to budget both of those, if I remember correctly.
Under that method, that's right, Keith. We're working on a lease to purchase. We wouldn't have that double payment.
So basically, the payments would start as soon as you move in?
As soon as you move in. Now, that's quite a tall order to accomplish that, but that's what we're working towards. If we don't make it, we just flat don't make it. But that's the ideal situation.
If we don't make it, what's the increase in percentage next year increase? Did he mention that?
I think the lease says 4% a year.
Who's the contractor we're working with?
Boston.
Good. Thank you.
We have a motion to pass or renew the lease.
So
This is a one-year lease? I mean, it's 1 year.
Yes, 1 year, yes. There.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Carol Harmon.
Yes.
Paula Allred.
Yes.
Jerry Foley.
Yes.
Darren Brock.
Yes.
Eric Schein.
Yes.
Pamela Lamons.
Yes.
Marty Latham.
Yes.
Next item on the agenda is the acquisition of property for Dixieland Road. I'll leave off the second line and let Sean explain it to you.
In this, you'll find two different appraisals, one from July of '06 and one from August of '07. You'll find our letter of offer to the Swaggers and then her counter offer. I'll give you a few minutes to look over those, and if you have any questions, feel free to.
Sean, just exactly where is this?
This description right behind the Lutheran Church, just east of it, right in the center of Dixieland development.
Right in the middle of the road?
Approximately 10 feet will lie on each side of Dixieland.
Where's this road?
This is a gravel lane. This is Robinson gravel lane going through the Robbins property. ending just short of Slaughter's. RV dealership, church, Leon Chadwick.
And we're going to need all of that for Dixieland? Well, Dixieland runs this way. I guess we will.
Here's Dixieland. It will veer, come
Yeah.
right through the middle, 10 feet each side of Dixieland. Dixieland continues north. Our party ends just north of their property.
Anybody else?
Basically, we're using 99.3% of that property.
Hey, Sean. So, it sounds like the initial offer at one point was $167,000, and that was last year. Is that?
That's what we have documents of. We have appraisals from 206,000. The 167 basically was in the deal file.
Yeah. There was no record of that. It was just a handshake agreement.
Correct.
But the
What I do have is the 147 from last July. They wanted another one unbeknownst to us. Gary Carnahan in June had requested this second appraisal from Reed and Associates, which they supplied me with Gary's email requesting it. So that, therefore, is where we ended up with theirs, and that's what I based my offer on, was the most recent.
It sounds like they're willing to accept the first appraisal, but not the second. Is that the situation?
Yeah, the 147, correct. Which we look at it, I was going to take the 139 appraisal that they basically refused and start to condemn the property with Mr. Keeklack's firm. But I think in this instance, if we look at it, it's a smarter for us to take the position of doing the 147. Economically, it's a better decision for us.
I would think so too, just because of attorney fees and other legal expenses.
Risks disassociated with litigation.
True. That's not to say that the judge would come back and not say, well, you owe him $200,000.
Your constitutional right in Arkansas, under the Arkansas Constitution, is the right to a jury to decide the value of your land.
So what are you looking for from us tonight? Are you wanting us to go ahead and say do the 147, or?
Yes, sir.
So it's either the 147 or start the process of,
Condemnation, yes.
yes.
So would this come out of the street budget, or where do we have $147,000 to purchase this with?
Comes out of the TIF fund, I think. That's where we're paying for Dixieland now.
Okay, that is part of that. And we amount in the TIF fund, don't we?
Yes, sir.
I'd like to move to accept the 147,000.
Second.
Roll call.
Carol Harmon,
No.
Kamala Lamons,
Yes.
Paula Allred,
Yes.
Darren Brock,
Yes.
Marty Latham,
Yes.
Jerry Foley,
Yes.
Keith Williams.
Yes.
Eric Shine.
Yes.
Setting of committee meetings, parks, recreation, and special events. Streets and sidewalks. Personnel, finance, utilities, ordinance. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn if no
I have,
objection.
wait. Sorry. I have a question for Mr. Kikalak.
Okay.
This is not on the meeting, but it's old business. When is the court date for the stagecoach?
There was thanks, Carol. I've been to mention that. The court called us last week, late last week, Friday, I think, and we needed to speak to the court about some discovery matters, opposing counsel and I, and the court indicated that we should expect that he will be ordering another trial date in October, I believe. No. December, I'm sorry, December, forgive me. I just got confused October. But I don't have that order yet, Carol, so I expect to get that any moment.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Kamala had something.
Yes, Keith?
Go ahead.
Kamala?
I would just like to see if we, as a council, can meet for like a work session, just to go over some things, since it has been 9 months since we've come into office, talk about things. Is that something we can set up?
It takes 2 council members to call a work session.
Is it 2 or 3?
I move that we have a work session.
What are we going to discuss? I don't want to just meet to talk about the weather.
No, it's just things that have come up for me, like, when's the perfect time to say this? Or, can I say, do you know what I'm saying?
So you're wanting to review parliamentary procedure?
Right, or just questions that have come up.
Can I mention one thing to the council?
Hold on a second. I think one thing, I don't think this is a bad idea. I think that we're kind of chaotic up here, and it doesn't seem like we're sticking to the agenda. And if we're going to have a work session, I think we need to discuss how we can stick to the agenda instead of just throwing stuff out there and talking about it, because it confuses the audience members. They really don't know what we're talking about, and also it's kind of disrespectful to the people that have items on the agenda to discuss. And so I think we need to probably work on getting a little bit more order in our meetings, because a lot of the times we're discussing stuff and I have no idea where it's at and where we're coming from on this. So that's something, if we do have a meeting, I would like for us to look at becoming more organized in our council meetings. And I know it's not, it's just, if we want to talk about something, we need to move to amend the agenda and vote on it before we just start discussing it.
Can I just remind the council of one of their work session meetings in December, when it was pretty much agreed that everyone wanted to have regular work sessions, and they wanted to have them every month, or at the very least every quarter. So you might want to go back and look at your minutes from the December work sessions that we had.
I think that she's right. We did talk about that originally. I know Mr. Foley has joined the council. Paula has. It probably wouldn't hurt to have sort of an informal work session just to kind of talk about history and talk about future plans, and just an opportunity to brainstorm a little bit. It's really hard to get the council together just to speak informally. And, I guess I think of it as a committee meeting of the whole rather than a work session, but
I've asked the council for a work session to discuss the 08 budget on, I believe it's October the 18th.